I've had a couple pieces shipped in to me to have a look at. First one I'm going to look at is a DAT Walkman, and we'll see whether we can get this one operational. It's been to Sony, and Sony has already written it off, so I'm not holding out much hope, but let's take a look and see whether we can do anything. Check it out. I have here a Sony tcdd3 DAT Walkman that was shipped in to be looked at. Now, the owner of this says that he already had it to Sony and they're telling him the servo chip is gone, which it possibly could be, but we'll find out. We'll see what it does. So the first thing I want to do is I want to remove the front cover just so I can see what it's doing. So we're going to take the top cover off this. So that's done by removing a couple screws in the front. Doesn't load a tape apparently, so I just want to see what it's doing. So I got to take this off so that I can see what the mechanism is doing when it tries to load. So it's flashing caution, which is typical if the mechanism's not reading. There's a little switch down inside here that it reads for when it opens the door. There's a little switch right down here that sometimes gives us trouble. At least it did on mine. See what happens if I try to load a tape. Try to turn it on. Okay, so I see the tape is moving. I think this is a mechanism problem. So it unloaded the tape, capstan motor turned, I saw the drum motor come on. And then of course it doesn't do anything until you turn off the power, or actually you gotta remove the power and then it will eject. So they said servo motor is at fault. I don't know, I think it might be a switch. It might be one of these little micro switches down here that is not detecting that the mechanism is operating. There's a couple of little switches, and I've had that happen on mine. Let me see if I can get some cleaner into the switches. Next thing I want to do is I want to take the bottom off. Undo that plug. I've forgotten how bad these were to work on. I've worked on my own once or twice. And I forgot how bad these ones were to get at. All these portable DAT machines are a nightmare to get into. Top cover comes off as well. TCD3 was the first. This was the first one, and it is probably the most complex of all of them, because it was the smallest of I think all the RDAT ones, all the conventional DATs. I know they had a micro-sized dictating machine as well, but as far as the conventional DATs went, I think this one was a little smaller than a lot, or at least it was a lot more. It was a lot more involved than a lot of the other ones. This should come off now, I think. I gotta open it. Gotta open it up. Oh, right, I forgot. Yeah, these clips have to come off on the side. That has to come off, as does the one on the other side, because they hold the top cover in place. Now this top cover can lift off. Okay, what am I looking for? I'm looking for the control switches on this thing. So we're going to separate these connectors. That just plugs into this one. It's just a standard type connector. If you connect those two boards together, flexible boards, you should be able to remove this bracket now, I think, and get this bottom bracket off of here. That's loose, that screw. So is this one. And I want to flip the board out, because I want to take a look underneath the chassis here. There's some switches under here that I want to get at. That screw is loose too. I wonder if it's loose grounds. These screws are all really loose. Like there's like nothing holding them in place. You know how the old loose ground screws in the past have caused all kinds of weird things to happen? We'll undo this connector here. Remove that one. Oh, that one's broken. That came right apart. It's not broken, but it fell apart. And we'll do the same for these other ones. Take out these two here. So these connectors can be removed. There's a reason nobody likes to work on these things, is because of the layout. They're so complicated. I think I can take out this screw, and that should lift out this bracket. There's more connectors on the other side of the board that I can't even get at this point. That comes off the front. And then board should lift down a bit. I'm just trying to fold the board up or over a bit so I can get to the switches on the bottom. Better off to remove this board too, just to get it out of the way. Which is held in on these screws on the top, I think, hold this in. This should lift off as an assembly. Or is it these? It might be these ones here. Oh, there's it should lift out and slide out like that. Yeah, that's got that board. Oh, one more connector here. I should have this board out of the way. And now that's out of the way. There's one more connector on the, there's one more connector on the back here, which plugs into the capstan motor, which is right underneath here. It's going to be fun to reinsert that though if I take it out. I think I have to. Oh, and there's one more that plugs in over here. Right, there's another connector over here. I just want to see the control switches for the mechanism. There are a couple of little switches that operate when the mechanism loads and unloads. It's like works like a mode switch, right? one more connector down here that I got to take out. It's almost impossible to get at. Well, it's right here. And I think it's just a ziff. It lifts up and pops out. Oh no, it's a pull. It's a push through one. It's going to be awful fun to seat this back in though. And herein lies the fun. You see, they've got these two connectors buried in here. One of them that came apart. I gotta put this one back together. This one or the other one? There's two of them here. There's two that fell apart. It's this other one. You know what this is going to be, right? DC to DC converter. Probably full of capacitors. There is a reason why people don't want to work on these things. Me included. Thing is, when I take them in for repair, I don't guarantee that I'm going to be able to do anything, including put it back together. That's the only way I accept anything, is that I don't guarantee that I can fix anything. And try, but sometimes these things cannot be repaired, and that's just the way that it is. Remember, with that and camcorders, there's just no parts available for them at all. So a lot of times you can't do anything for them. You can try, but that's about all you can do. Okay, now I gotta find these little switches. I know there's a couple of them on this mechanism here that operate to tell the microcontroller what mechanical position the mechanism is in. And clean that switch in the front here. It's activated by this lever. I'll try reconnecting everything and see whether I get any different results now. These are a pain in the butt to put together. There's no room to work in these things. I gotta redo those two connectors that are on the bottom side here, which is a challenge. The thing is, even if I get this thing working, how long is it going to work for? That's the problem. They're so mechanical with all these little connectors that can come loose and develop intermittent connections on them. Gotta get this one in the bottom first. The drum, or not, I guess it's not the drum, this might be the display. I think that's the display. No, this is the display. What is this one? This is maybe the drum motor. that one's in. Now I got to get this other one in the back here. Same problem. It's not this one, it's the one below it. Got to get this other one into this other connector at the back here. Again, we got the same problem. No place to work. Everything's so densely packed on this bloody circuit board. Just nothing to work with. Oh, and the connector falls apart. Of course it does. Wonderful. Well, 45 minutes later, I finally got that connector back together, and it's the connector itself is damaged. That's part of the problem. The connector itself is damaged. The last guy that worked on this damaged that connector, and I don't know how well the connector is making a connection. Sony said it was the servo was bad, or look at the note that he gave me, but the note said, let me grab it. What it said on the note. It said it was Sony Repair Center told him it was an issue with the servo motor, I believe. And of course the guy says, please provide me with a quote before you begin in case it's not worth the repair. Well, I'm going to say that this was not worth a repair right now. I'm going to put it back together because I don't know whether anything's changed by just taking the connectors apart and putting them back together, but the one underneath here is very, very loose. So we'll put this one together and just see if I've made any change. But I think I'm going to let him know that this one here is probably not worth fixing because, I've already spent enough time on it just to get it apart and really don't know anything else that may be wrong with it. Okay, I got the unit all back together now. I'm going to condemn this one as one that's not worth repairing. Just because, well, it's got a couple things wrong with it. That connector inside is giving me trouble for one. Not making a connection now at all because there was a piece that was broken off of it. Anyway, the guy that owns this wants to know what's going to cost to fix it. It's going to cost more to fix this thing than it's worth, for sure. He already had it to Sony. They said that what they say? They said on it the servo motor. That's what they said. Yeah, that's very possible. It's very possible that the servo motor is causing a problem with this one. Not loading properly anyway, so there's more than one problem with this unit. And it's just not worth repairing. I mean, I've got one myself. Mine works. I've had to fix it. Mine was just all jammed up and gummed up, and the switches were bad on it, and I was able to clean the switch and make mine work. But I haven't had any electrical problems on it other than that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the teardown on this thing. To say it's too bad because these things are quite a rarity now, but they were very complex and very small and very difficult to work on. Nobody liked working on these, including myself. Go. Maybe you'd like to see my beat up old one, how mine works. So say mine's got the plastic, that's the rubber that's going bad on it. But mine probably will jam because I haven't used this thing in a while. Will it work or won't it work? Let's just see whether mine will actually work. There's a good chance mine's going to jam on eject because it's been sitting for a while, but maybe it'll work. I haven't used this thing probably in a couple of years. Is it going to work? Might. It works. Oh, mine's gonna jam. Yeah. It'll probably open now. There, it finally opens. But now it's stuck with caution. And the only way I can restore that is to turn it off and on. If I operate the thing a few times, it probably will work. It's just what happens is the switch if I open it and close it several times, it will probably work. It's a known issue with these things. It's just a micro switch that goes bad on them. It goes bad on all of them. I've cleaned it on this one already. Okay, it'll play. Okay, let's see whether it'll jam on eject again. If I load it and unload it multiple times, it will generally work. Oh, it's going to do it again. Known issue. It will eventually. It should open. And this time it's not going to do it. See, they all break. If I unplug it, plug it in, it may open. I probably should have left this in the drawer. Come on, open. Guess I'll be working on mine again someday. Might not be for a while though, because I don't use this thing. There we go. Now it opened. If I run it a number of times, it will probably work. It's usually this stupid switch down inside here that it's usually this stupid switch right down there. That's usually what causes the problem. It's that switch is not being detected that it's open. Oh well, as I say, I don't use mine, so mine just sits kind of collecting dust like a lot of the other stuff that I've got. I don't want to sell it because I don't want to have to deal with somebody saying it's not working. And if I fix it, well, how long is it going to stay fixed? That's the problem, is with this old electronics. You fix one thing and something else goes wrong with it. These things were not that reliable when they were new. And mine certainly has tons and tons and tons and tons of hours on it. It's, you know, it's pretty beat up, but because it's been used so much. But and it's kind of a little novelty, right? But I don't really use it. I don't use any of these things that much anymore. Don't use my tape decks at all, really, other than to transfer tapes over. And to do that, I've got obviously other machines. Anyway, so that's the other guy's tcd3, which has got a problem, and now apparently mine's got a problem too, but at least this one is still operational. I just have to fiddle fart around with it to get it to release a tape. In fact, for the longest time on this one, I left the screws out so I could lift the front cover off and release the tape with a screwdriver when it got jammed. But it works. There's only 4 tracks on this tape. It'll jam for sure. Oh, that time it didn't, you see? Thanks for watching.